Hey guys, Johnny from Ignite here. Thanks for tuning into another video that we have for you. This one on the craft of writing, the reflection section, how to write a conclusion. So this is the last part of that Part B reflection for Module C. But before we get into that, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the bell so you're notified of any new videos that come out, and also check out our website, ignitehsc.com.au, for our extensive practical resources on the HSC English syllabus. That's for Standard, Advanced, and Extension 1. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the conclusion. So that is the last part of the reflection. Remember, the reflection is typically part B. There may not even be a reflection, as we've seen with some exams where you're exclusively asked in Module C to compose a piece of imaginative, discursive, or persuasive writing. But at least internally at school, you will most often be asked to write a composition, and then after that writing that composition, write a reflection that accounts for the creative decisions that you made when doing that piece of writing. So when you're actually going to do a reflection, you want to make sure that you are expressly mentioning the stylistic elements that you have used from a prescribed Module C text that you have studied. So you've got to make mention of the actual stylistic elements. They are the kind of macro techniques. For instance, the first person narrative voice, the use of anecdotes. You want to make mention of those throughout the reflection, and you want to make sure you also mention the purpose for which you are using them. Once you go on into your body paragraphs, after foregrounding those in your introduction, you obviously then want to just summarize what you've done as a whole in that composition, and that's going to be in the conclusion. There are a few elements you want to have in this one sentence, as you'll see here. You only need one sentence. Let's not overcomplicate the conclusion, and let's not give it too much weight either. Students typically get caught up with the conclusion. They'll spend a few sentences on it when it would have been better and more strategically wise to actually put those extra sentences in the body paragraphs. The body paragraphs are where you're going to exemplify your knowledge of the stylistic elements in the text you studied, and also show an appreciation of how you have used those elements in your own writing, giving examples and mentioning why you actually use them. So in the conclusion, in this one sentence, we want to have the prescribed text mentioned, including the author again. So you would have already mentioned the prescribed text in the introduction and probably throughout in the bodies. You want to come back to those stylistic features, at least generally, so you can either explicitly mention the first person narrative voice, for instance, or you can be a little bit more general about it, but you want to make sure you come back into this purpose element, the purpose for which you actually used the stylistic elements that you studied in that prescribed text. Why in your composition did you use them? You don't necessarily have to mention again why the composer used them. Just mention why you use them and how you emulated, at least in that stylistic sense, the composer from the text. The last thing is to make sure you have answered the question, that is, include any key terms that may be in that reflection question. Typically, the reflection question is not that challenging compared to the Part A composition question where you have to deal with a stimulus. But when you do come to Part B, do look carefully for any key terms such as emotional response, inviting the reader into your world, phrases like that. You would want to mention them again, but make sure you expand on them when you use them in the conclusion and any other place in the whole reflection. Make sure you give some specificity and actually elaborate on those words. So if it talks about how did you invite the reader into your world, make sure you talk about how you invited them into that world in a specific way. So I invited them into this world by using these techniques, these stylistic elements, which were borrowed from this text, and I did that for this purpose, or I did this with the intent of humanizing my protagonist. So you've got to make sure you elaborate on those key terms. That's pretty much it for the elements. Let's have a look at a sample reflection question here. Justify the creative decisions that you have made in your writing. So a simple question. Let's assume you've been addressing it throughout the introduction, the two body paragraphs, and then in the conclusion, here's an example, very basic example, but it should demonstrate the point for you. Ultimately, it's a nice word to start the conclusion, by drawing upon. That's a nice way of integrating the stylistic elements that you have used from the prescribed text and then emulated in your own composition. The metaphorical and poetic devices, so this is phrased quite generally. You could be, and perhaps should be, a little bit more specific than this, but if you've already done that all throughout your composition, this could be okay. Used in Chan's Popcorn, so here we just got an example of a text. It doesn't matter if you haven't studied this particular one. I have aimed, again the personal language, I have aimed to. You're showing an intent. You're not presuming that you have successfully done it necessarily, and you may not have to make those kind of statements anyway, but you just say, I've aimed to, I've sought to convey the immigrant struggle to recreate an authentic cultural experience in Western society. So that's really the key there, the green section. That is the purpose. Summarize why you have used those elements from the text you studied and summarize that intent in a sophisticated way. So this is something you want to refine and practice over time, get feedback on as you draft these sentences, because it's not necessarily easy to do these first time. You actually want to practice them, have the feedback, and then refine over time and read them out loud as well to make sure that they flow. I hope that helps, guys. That's an example. Try your own conclusion as you do your drafts and try and make sure you've included the elements that we went over in this video. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment below, and subscribe and click the bell to the channel, and all of our new videos will pop up on your YouTube page. All right, if you want extra resources, check out ignitehsc.com.au. Otherwise, we will see you in the next video.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you do like the content, subscribe to our channel and we'll have more videos coming your way.
That's right, guys. Thanks for watching. And please make sure you check out our online resource database. We've had a team of state rank achievers and heads of English put these together for you, covering everything from essay structures and examples all the way through to craft of writing and comprehension skills. So check them out at ignitehsc.com.au, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.